As promised before, there is a second part to the video that just happened to come out a day later. What's going on? I'm Elijah from Sports Talk Indy. We're covering what Shane Steichen had to say about Anthony Richardson coming off of Wednesday's OTAs practice, because I think it's incredibly interesting, and I think that any update we can get on Anthony Richardson, especially from Colts coaches, they're going to give us some political answers. They're not going to give us the full truth, nothing but the truth, but they are going to give us enough to be able to see what they think of our QB1 and the guy that we've kind of like trusted our future with. And so Shane Steichen, obviously they had to handle the Michael Pittman injury first, but then the next question immediately was about Anthony Richardson. And Steichen had this to say: any player that comes off missed time will have some rust, but Anthony Richardson has been quote unquote pretty smooth completing passes and knowing where to go with the football. I like where he's at right now. If you go back to the winter meetings when Shane Steichen was talking about Anthony Richardson, one of the things that he loved so much about Anthony Richardson is the fact that there were times that Anthony Richardson doesn't naturally go through the 1, 2, 3 or the ABC of each play of the progression. He doesn't start one way or the other. Anthony Richardson does a really good job and has such a good football IQ that he does a great job of being able to predict where the ball needs to go. Now, obviously, we hope he uses some of that IQ to be able to slide or to just go down. We saw this with Carson Wentz with the double ankle roll. But I think that like this even like reiterates that point, is he's pretty smooth completing passes and knowing where to go with the football. I think that's very, very important because we know that Anthony Richardson has the arm talent. We know that he has the ability, but now we get to see where exactly he's going and the mental toughness of being able to do that. And he's got weapons now. Shane Steichen goes on what he's looking for with Richardson. He says, just accelerated vision stuff. Steichen adds that he's also watching Richardson's mechanics, but knowing where to go with the ball is key. He's hammering the same point, and I think this is just Steichen being a football nerd and really just like diving head on into this. But yeah, accelerated vision, I think that translates to going through his progressions quicker and being able to make that decision as fast as possible so he doesn't have to scramble, so he doesn't have to do that. And everything the Colts have done this offseason has only furthered his weapons, furthered what he has, furthered what he's going to be able to do. And he should be able to make those quicker, and he has a whole nother year under his belt. Reminder, on like Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday, was his birthday. He just turned 22. Will Levis is 25. Trevor Lawrence is 25. CJ Stroud is 23. Those are just the division quarterbacks. Anthony Richardson is on his second year in the league and is still only 22, which is younger than what most people are when they enter the league, which I think is just really cool. Steichen goes on to say, fundamentally, Richardson has been on it. Steichen has no concerns in that regard. Arm motion looks really good out there, and his feet look quick. This is awesome. Again, this is just hammers on of being able to see what he's been able to do. I've been watching his highlights from the OTAs that we have. He looks really good. His footwork looks clean. That was one thing that Orlovsky broke down when he was like in the draft analysis of Anthony Richardson. Is when he would get his feet, when he had a wider stance, he would be able to make throws, and they were on the money. I mean, that the throw to Josh Downs, that I believe it was against the Rams. All I was looking at was the throw because I can't even remember who they were playing. I think it was the Rams. That was it was on a rope, and it was that wide base that he gets. And I think that that's something that's improved. When you go with an arm injury, all you can do is work on legs. And you've seen that, like, he's added a significant amount of muscle mass and looks really, really good as far as his strength, as far as what he's added to himself. And Richardson was already a massive guy. I mean, he was coming in weighing 237 at 6'4". He was Derrick Henry numbers, which is just incredible. But Steichen goes on to say where he's seen the most growth in Richardson since his rookie year. Knowing how everyone and everything operates. He mentions Richardson going about his business and knowing how to be a pro. All those little details that go into it. Not being a rookie, he's shown these so far. It's fun and exciting, said Steichen, on having a variety of playmakers in an offense who can handle different responsibilities. It's our job as coaches to up them in position. This is just really cool. I think this is something that we are going to be able to see so much of, is a true like college style offense. And a lot of these guys come from that style of offense, come from the style of offense of constant movement. Adonai Mitchell, especially, he was in that, like, he was in Georgia for 2 years and then transferred over to Texas. But when you're talking about Georgia, he was in that back-to-back championship seasons. And so I think this is going to be really, really cool to see. He's a big guy. He's got a lot of movement, and that's going to be fun for Anthony Richardson, who comes from that Florida offense, and those RPOs. I mean, the RPOs that made the Colts so legendary, and they, in the short yardage situations, they were great last year. And they were working with Gardner Minshew at quarterback, and they were working with not as many wide receivers and not as many talented players around them, and a sometimes beaten up offensive line, and Jonathan Taylor, who was either out for the first 4 games or you lost Anthony Richardson, so you didn't have any of the above. I think this is going to be really, really fun to see. And Richardson, who just turned 22, is a young player, but quote unquote, he has a great spirit about him. Said Steichen, the character he has now and how he treats people in the building, outside the building outside the building is phenomenal. He's long and athletic, said Steichen. This is about Jalen Charles. So that's all he has to say about Richardson, and I think this is all something that should be really, really encouraging. When you talk about what Steichen was able to do from years 1 and 2 to year 3 with Jalen Hurts, he gets Richardson from the start. And I think Richardson, no disrespect to Jalen Hurts, but I think Richardson from the get-go is a more naturally athletic and talented quarterback than Jalen Hurts. I mean, you just look at draft position. Jalen Hurts, I think, was one of the better quarterbacks, if not the better quarterback in his draft class. I'm trying to remember who was in that draft class. I think that was Joe Burrow's draft class. So, I mean, obviously Joe Burrow is going to be QB1, but Jalen Hurts has had a really good career already, and in that fun Philly offense, and I'm so excited to see how that translates over to the Colts this year and being able to run just with guys. I mean, you talk about Adonai Mitchell. I think a good comparison would be A.J. Brown because of just the size. A.J. Brown's a big dude. Adonai Mitchell's a big dude. They're both very quick, and their catching traffic is really good. So this isn't an Adonai Mitchell video, but I can't talk enough about how excited I am for Adonai Mitchell. But yeah, all that to say, I think this is going to be really, really exciting season. I'm excited that Shane Steichen clearly has nothing but positive things to say about Anthony Richardson. And every highlight you see backs up what he's saying. He's not just saying it to say it. It's not just an empty words, but he's truly out there making plays and doing a phenomenal job of improving and growing. I'm very curious to see how he does against this defensive line. Like our defensive line in practices, because I think it's going to reveal a lot about his headspace and his movement. One thing I loved about Anthony Richardson last season was that he was so poised in the pocket, and that he was so calm, and that he wasn't afraid to take hits. Obviously, we want him to have a little bit more fear in taking hits this season, but all that to say, I think this is really, really encouraging, and I'm so excited to see where he's going to be at this season. And be sure to follow along, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date on all things Colts every single day. As news breaks, we're going to be the first ones as best we can to get on it. So we'll see you on the next one.